A billion years ahead, this whole world will be nothing. There's a joy that is coming like the morning. Nothing that we've left will compare to this new song. Hearts united in freedom, and this sounds like ripped out. On my way home. Hey, why little bad, let's lift out. On my way home. No reminiscing, I will not babble. On my way home. Don't dwell on the past unless it's gossip. Let's go. My life ain't feel skippy, come feel tripping if you don't believe me. My life is a war zone, no meal ticket, nothing's coming easy. I got a lot of bad burns, I got a few stab wounds, bullet holes in my L1s. I be done without that song. Yeah, I lost a few loved ones. I enjoyed a lot of good times. Feet tired for the journey, but my heart's know that's a good sign. Oh no, won't be stopping my pilgrimage uptown. Oh no, I made it way too high up to come down. Somebody told me I ain't gotta pack no license daily. Somebody told me ain't no joy that I want that I can't get. Life as we know it would change. I'm better there with my gang. To be with the lamb was slain. A billion years ahead, this whole world will be nothing. There's a joy that is coming like the morning. Nothing that we've left will compare to this new song. Hearts united in freedom, and this sounds like oh, we out here mobbing, we do things violent and vicious, screw things, violent and wicked fools, man. We get the top of the food chain, cannibalizing our crews, daily is dudes slain. Murderers thinking they know, if you don't think it's true, ask my dude Kane. Tell me how civilized, there's a world where the killer thrives. Darker victims villainized, then authorities ill-advised. The snake in his venom is our Linus, no immunized. We need a Jonah, we Ninevites, enterprise. The Lion of Judah, he came. The sun set down in our world, and still he reigns. Our infatuation with killing, intended to him, he was slain. All that he made would get his redemption, is finally reclaimed. We'll sing. Somebody told me won't need a shoulder to weep on, no more tears. Somebody told me I ain't gotta hold no heat, ain't no more fears. Life as we know it will change. Don't need no pills, ain't no pain. Ain't no successor, forever he reigns. A billion years ahead, this whole world will be nothing. There's a joy that is coming like the morning. Nothing that we've left will compare to this new song. Hearts united in freedom, and this sounds like
messed up, stressed out with no luck. But every time I wake up, I get a chance to wake up. Thank God I got a chance to wake up. Another day that get my cake up. Cause every time I wake up, I get a chance to
Wake up, little slick, get up out of bed. You was like a couple steps away from being out of here. Thank you for my granny prayers, thank you for my partner them. I thought I was finished, yeah. Jesus told me start again. I would party sundown till day's end, making money that I can't spend. I had a failing marriage and some fake friends. I had to doubt my doubts and let faith in. Was broken, God done brought me out like I was Moses. I'm chosen. Woke up Sunday morning feeling focused. Funny acting, swipe left, yeah. That's on mamas, always capping. Swipe left, yeah. No more drama. Boy, you know you blessed. Last night was a mess. God just hit refresh.
I've been messed up, stressed out with no luck. But every time I wake up, I get a chance to wake up. Thank God I got a chance to wake up. Wake up, another day that get my kick up. Kick up, cause every time I wake up, I get a chance to wake up. Wake up, wake up.
Wake up in a new Diablo. Father touched me like I'm Pablo. Sunday service on the front stoop with a cup of tea in the condo. Tony Evans kicking convo, walking me through my storm. And I ain't grew up hearing gospel, but I got it playing this morning. I done been through this a time or two. I keep going back, but now I'm finally through. I'm like, if I was God, I'd be tired of you. But he be open arms like he desire you. I'm like, wow. Smoking, sipping, slipping, thought I lost my grip and wow. Pulled me back and told me I'm forgiven.
I woke up Sunday morning, weight up on my chest. Had to remind myself that every day I'm blessed. Cause every time I wake up, I get a chance to wake up. Thank God I got a chance to wake up. Wake up, another day that get my kick up. Kick up, cause every time I wake up, I get a chance to wake up. Wake up, wake up.
Seasons change the color so quickly, it's hard to keep up with the leaves, cause everybody leaves. On my birthday, Kobe, Gigi, and 7 souls remind me that the tree of life is so uncertain, and tomorrow has unpredictabilities as colorful as the smiles that took off that day. May that Sunday morning resonate past trophies and trinkets in the ongoing pursuit of more to sober us with the humbling truth. My life and your life is just a vapor. And if what you see is all you see, then you do not see all there is to be seen. Quickly, we leave.
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on what coast you're on. We are doing another special episode this week of Eastgate Meet Survive session. We're having another conversation between generations. The first conversation went so well, and we had so much to talk about. And so we were like, we got to do a part 2 of this. We've got to see where else we can go because, the conversation between generations was just needed. It was on point, and it spoke to the time. So I'm happy to do this again. Happy to have with me 2 very special people that I hold very dear to me. We have Apostle Prophetess Barbara Rose on the phone, and we have Prophetess Brenda Isler on the phone. And I'm just so excited to be able to talk to you guys. You guys are special to me. So this is going to be a great show.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Welcome.
Thank you, and I'm honored because just to be able to chat with the next generation or chat with young adults or youth that we don't always necessarily come in contact with, share information is awesome task. It's an awesome accomplishment. in this season. I thank you so very much for allowing us to do this and allow it to be a coming together of almost two cultures within a culture, three cultures within a culture, and allowing us to have a platform so that we can talk. And then as we talk to you, we're talking to other young adults, and we're talking to all kinds of artists and all kinds of people from all different kind of ethnic backgrounds and all different lands and all different communities and even different countries. And so we get to chit-chat and share what it is we know, and then hopefully somebody will contact you, Neffy, and say, well, contact them because we need to share this with them. And then that, I think we'll have a solution to a whole lot of problems of the world.
Yes.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Neffy, my beautiful niece, for that awesome introduction. My head is swollen this morning, however, but we talk about generations. That word within itself, it's almost a forgotten thing. We see the word, but what is a generation in this day and age? We know that a generation is something that goes on and on and on, but a lot of people seem to have skipped or forgotten what it is to be a part of what the generation is. And each generation should be getting stronger and wiser and better, but is it that way? What has happened to the generations? What has happened to your generation? What has happened to my generation? You know, those are questions that really need to be answered. Or can they be answered? Can they be answered? We know what a generation is. We know what generational curses are. But what does it really mean to be a part of, an active part of a generation?
Wow.
All right.
That's loaded, and it's like, you know, from my perspective and kind of what I'm able to see on social media and through talking to friends, there definitely seems like there's a disconnect between the generations, for sure. There's something there. It's hard to put your finger on it, but it's like, I don't know if it's a matter of us being in that social media era where, like, just everybody's questioning everything, everybody's challenging everything, everybody's looking for something, everybody's looking for some information, you know, so it's just, instead of kind of going to the people that we know or the people that we love or, you know, the people that came before us, it feels like the younger generation oftentimes they're seeking things out for themselves and then kind of ending up wherever they go. You know?
Bad information with bad information.
That's it. That's it.
With bad information. You know, one of the things in society, being a retired school teacher, you know, when we came along as young people 110 years ago, just before they invented the car, you know, we were taught to watch out for each other, have each other's back. But in schools, I found that through the years, within the same generation, through the years, our children have been taught to take care of yourself. Don't get involved. If you get involved, taking up for your sister or your brother or your family member, you're going to get in trouble, whether you initiate it or not. And so society and those entities, those hidden entities in society, have broken down the values and the morals of our culture. And they've done it in a way slowly over a period of time where we didn't even realize, we were anesthetized and didn't even realize what was happening. So now we have a me generation, everybody looking out for themselves because that's how they have been programmed, looking out for themselves. And then also on top of that, well, you'll hear them say on TV, well, when you look for strength, look on the inside of your inner being. Look on the inside of yourself. Sometimes yourself is your worst enemy.
Right.
Yourself is your worst enemy. When yourself don't have anything on the inside, no experience, no wisdom, nothing. Neffy, what are you going to look on the inside of yourself and find, Neffy?
Exactly, especially if it's a bad day.
It's a bad day.
And if nothing has been said into you, nothing's going to come out.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to come out, you know? So what is the saying? Nothing from nothing leaves nothing? Well,
who was that? A ball of confusion? Was that the Temptations or what? Ball of confusion. Whoever wrote that, that's what it is. A ball of confusion.
Yes, I believe that was the Temptations.
Neffy, was that Temptations? This is the music expert, but she's not old enough for that. She's not old enough for that. But I tell you what, Neffy, remember we did Marvin Gaye a few weeks ago. You did the Marvin Gaye, and that was awesome because Marvin Gaye was saying, "Well, what's going on? What's going on? What is going on?" And he listed a list of isms and schisms that was happening, and Marvin was saying, "Well, what's going on? People are looking on the inside of themselves for strength, for understanding, and wisdom without anything being put on the inside."
Yes.
On the inside.
Yes. Okay. And see, we're talking on secular musicians now. The Temptations and Marvin Gaye. But I've got to strike it up with the Isley Brothers when the young man sang a caravan, join the caravan. Now that song was a song way before its time. Every woman, every man joined the caravan of love. You know what?
Right.
I mean, and anybody who's going to listen, who will listen to this, I want them to pull up that song and listen to that song in its entirety. There's a message in that song. It's a message in that song. It's a message in Marvin Gaye's song. It's a message in the Temptations song. It's like, what in the world, you know, what did they know that we kind of missed along the way, that certain generations missed? They were back in our times, in our generations, singing for such a time as the young generation, nay, your generation, you know?
Yes.
So sometimes it pays to reach back and listen to some of those songs. Yes, it does.
To piggyback off of that, you know, it's like sometimes when you hear those songs, you know, as a person of the newer generation, it makes you wonder, like, how far have we really come? Because it seems like it, you know, everything is becoming more modern and technology and things are progressing. But when you listen to those songs, as classic as they are, they're still relevant to what we're going through today. Even some of the movies I was watching, I don't know what it was on Netflix. It was one of the old black sitcoms. I think it was called Rock or something. It was based out of Baltimore.
Yes.
And I'm watching it, and I felt like I vaguely may have seen it when I was like really, really little, but watching it as an adult, I'm like, wow, some of these jokes are relevant, some of these issues are relevant. So it's like, it feels like things are getting better, but when you reference those things, it seems like it's the same, just in a different era.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then you have to remember right on to that, with that, is that, well, what is generation? Actually, we're living in the same generation because a generation is so many years. I would think a generation would be the way we look at it as I'm one generation, my daughter is another generation, then my granddaughter would be the third generation, and then would be the fourth. Now, all of us are really living in the same generation when you look at the continuum of time.
Yes.
And so we do kind of lose track of the normal the way that the world looks at a generation, and then what the actuality of the generation is. And so the generation is an expanded period of time, not my lifetime, separated from my daughter, separated from my granddaughter, separated from my great-grandchildren. Right. We're really living in the same generation.
Yes.
And the time continues. We really don't, know where it picks up and where it leaves off, but some scholars do have an idea about that thing.
You're broken down and tired of living life on the merry-go-round, and you can't find a fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. Move mountains, we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet. Move mountains, bring it to its feet. Move mountains. And
when you're talking generations and things changing, things have changed a whole lot in my 70 years. I've seen things change a lot. In my 70 years, I would have had things to have been moved along a whole lot more, progress a lot more. But the things that are being revealed, just the fact that we can look at a cell phone recording, and we can see the atrocities and the cruelty and the crime that's been being done in the schools, in the even in that grocery store, the grocery market in Tennessee, where this person went in and shot all those people. We have the ability to do that immediately. In Tennessee, we can see it in Maryland, we can see it in Texas, we can see it in Alaska, Michigan. Exactly. We can see it everywhere. So, and then have some kind of idea or even know how better to prepare ourselves. Unfortunately, racism and slavery and that whole concept has been around since Bible times. Even since the beginning of that, where a man has to conquer another man and hold them in bondage and take their land and make them work for little or nothing. And so that thing is ages old. Old. Yes. But we know that we know who the initiator is of all bad things. And he wasn't our friend then, he's not our friend now. It's that if we don't pass the information along to our children and our grandchildren, they're left at the wiles of the devil. And so, even though this is not that directed in that, we know all evil comes from that source. Right, and it's still evil. And people's going to be here until the end of time. So we plan on kicking evil butt. We don't want to partake of it. But we don't want to protect of it.
Right. But it's almost the more things change, the more things remain the same. Technology, all types of things of that nature have changed, but under the arc of that change, we still have murders. We still have robbing. We still have this. We still have that. So a lot of stuff changes, but then a lot of things still remain the same under that change.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the solution? Is there a solution? Is there a solution?
Yes. If we could, we know that murder started with who? Cain.
Mm-hmm.
Cain murdered his brother.
Yes.
And that part, he didn't go find somebody else to murder.
Right.
Neffy murdered his brother.
Own brother.
His own brother.
Right.
He didn't go across town and find somebody. He murdered his own brother. So you have murder, you have jealousy and envy, and trickery, and lying, and all kinds of things. So you have add that right on off the bad. So it hasn't gone away. It has been perpetuated in man.
Even through the change. Mm-hmm. Even through the change, something still remains the same. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even when you mentioned, the shooting in Tennessee, it's like it seems like every other day we turn on the TV, there's another mass murder or another mass shooting, or it's like seems that seems to be getting worse. It's like we did as soon as we didn't think it could get any worse, there's another one.
There's another one. There's another. And Neffy, when Megan hurts man and realizing that mental illness is a real deal in this day and time, mental illness is one thing that has not really been addressed, and a lot of the people that are actually coming in and shooting either suffer from mental illness or some kind of disorder. And I don't know whether you can either still call it mental illness because they have so many terms now because things are insulting. That disabled, you can't call it disabled. Then it was mentally challenged. Now you can't call it mentally challenged. And so I don't know what the politically correct term is, but those who need some kind of treatment for the mind, whatever the name, whatever they're calling it, it's falling by the wayside. They don't have access to it. And if you don't think that there's anything wrong with you, you're not going to find help. And you're not going to go find help and say, I think I want to go back and shoot my fellow classmates, or just say, I think I want to go into school and kill little children, or just say, well, I'm going to go back on the workplace and I'm going to kill whoever did something to me and then kill everybody, try to kill everybody else around, and then have no fear of turning and killing themselves. Some kill themselves, some do not. But we can look at that as that's a mental condition, a condition of the mind. And a lot of times, because people have been mean and cruel and making fun of, not saying all the time, making fun of people that whose mental capacity cannot deal with it. They can't deal with it. And so we see the outcome of it.
And that's the key part. That's the key part right there, Apostle Rose, because of how certain people are treated. A lot of people aren't strong enough to weather that thing, and then they lash out in the best ways that they can. You did this to me. You took my job. You gave my job to somebody else, or you laughed at me when I was in the classroom. Secretly, in my mind, I'm thinking, how am I going to get you back? Revenge. And you're sitting there quietly plotting and planning in your head how to get back at that person that harmed you. So it's a serious thing. And we don't all wear the same strengths. We don't all wear the same strongness. We don't all wear that. So those people who aren't robed in those things, they are the weaker set of people. And you don't know who you're approaching, who you're saying whatever to now these days. that you may get something that you're not asking for.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
Sure enough.
Yeah.
Neffy, let me give you a perfect example.
Mhm.
Your auntie, Meek, and I, we were traveling back from Baltimore. This is several years ago. We were traveling back from Baltimore, and we got to the Bay Bridge, and I that particular time I couldn't drive the Bay Bridge, so we were going to switch over to Tamika driving. And so as she was driving, we got ready to drive across the bridge. Of course, we are accosted by the police because I had locks, and my locks was hanging, and we were driving this Jeep. The window was a little tinted, but we were driving this Jeep, and naturally we were a profile. And when they got up, when we got there, they saw us switch at the bridge, so they thought that either we were running drugs or we were doing something because we switched out. And they know that I was not a man, I was an old woman. So when they got up and saw I had gray hair, and they was like, "Oh, gee, she got gray hair, so she's not." So they got focused on Mika, and at the time Mika's license was suspended. Well, this officer was so mean and nasty, he handcuffed her in the highway, and took her to a jail somewhere there in Anne Arundel County. And I was explaining, we're not from this area. Where are you taking her? We don't know where you're going. I said, well, you can't follow us and whatever. So we had this about 12 o'clock at night. We were fiddling around. But when I was out there talking to that officer, and he was so smart and smug, he was kind of a little guy, and he was a little arrogant. The devil started talking to me in my conscience. He said, all you have to do is punch him in the front of his face, get in your truck, and drive across this bridge.
Now, Apostle.
Apostle Medea.
Right, yes.
Did you hear what I'm saying? All you have to do,
yes, we did.
Talking. All you have to do is, and I was perturbed because of how he handled my daughter. And so, but can you imagine the enemy coming up and talking to somebody who does not have the resistance?
Right.
Because it sounded good at the time, because I really wanted to punch him anyway. And
that's real talk. That's real talk.
That's real talk. You don't talk to law enforcement in any kind of way in the dark, and you're African American, and you definitely don't threaten, and you don't. But the enemy was talking. All you have to do is, and he had the plan already drawn up for me. And I already can't drive across the bridge, so what he had set up was for me to punch the police officer in the face, run and hop in the truck with my chunky self, and then try to drive across the Bay Bridge when I couldn't already drive across the Bay Bridge. That would have been. Can you imagine?
Yes, indeed. We can imagine this. September 24th, 2021, that Apostle Barbara Rose would not be here chit-chatting on this segment with us.
Absolutely not.
That's the bottom line.
You see
right.
You see how that thing would have altered history, my destiny? All three of us would have been locked up. Her daughter, all three of us, the baby, Tamika, and I, 3 generations locked up.
3 generations.
3 generations locked up. We've been having a different kind of conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other people, can you imagine how that thing rises up and talks to people, and they don't have the God on the inside of them, the spirit of the Most High God, or they don't have the boundaries between what's right and what's wrong. You do me wrong, then I'm gonna get you. But with the boundary, I said, well, this is crazy. You know very well I'm not going to punch the police officer. I'm not going to punch anybody and do such a thing. But the voice was talking. That mind is one of a thing. The mind, you think the mind is you there, good and evil always present. And what that word says, even when I would do good, evil is always present. Evil is always present, yeah. Always present. Yes. And so we have to be aware of that. When you take someone who doesn't have the strength, the natural strength, common sense, and spiritual strength, they would have fallen into a terrible, terrible situation. Yes. And I see what you take a gun and you go into the workplace, or someone cut someone's throat at a restaurant or somewhere, cut someone's throat in a sub shop or whatever, cut their throat. Wow. All kinds of terrible things. Yeah. All kinds of terrible things. And so we have to have that mind and instill in each other and instill in those that will listen the power to overcome those thoughts that are set up to bring destruction, because they're set up to bring destruction. You're talking about looking in your inner self. Your inner self will bring destruction to your inner self. Yes. Will bring destruction to your inner self.
Perpetual, ayy. Forbidden fruit seems so edible, ayy. You try to resist like electrical strain. My mama told me it's spiritual, ayy. So I'm under armor like I'm Curry, look. You cannot bear with the boy, yeah. This is not the jungle book. Accuse me, no he would. I'm just covered by the blood. Thinking about the way that they did you, serpent crushing like Valentine's. Taking seat with the mission, cross with the finish. Don't try to slide in my DM. OJ Simpson with the defense. Leg of fire saying knee in last weekend, but not today, say. I think I know where he live, ayy. I think he in politics, ayy. I think you getting my drift, ayy. Yeah, I think he made the explore page. I seen him at my last court date. I'm asking Lord, give me more faith. It's cold in these streets like a North Face, ayy. Gotta keep my face north and I know my day short, so I stay woke, never days off. Cause evil never taking no days off. Roll there, big fella, don't try it. Get that corn on my face, you know I'm on a diet. And I'm treating all of your lie like United. That just ain't flying, not today, Satan. Yeah, I know your ways. Already read all your plays. Yeah, I think I'm booked for tomorrow. Yeah, and today just ain't your day. Ay, ay, I see you feeding they hate. See the bodies that you take. We do not break, never no breaks. Building this place on top of your cake. Come and see me by the ooh, my squad too deep. Got it covered like Newsweek. Kicking these fat like Bruce Lee. Yeah, in front of W's like UV. Yeah, UV. Sun gotta shine, Lord, use me. Hit him with the ooh. Cut my share, don't let him fool you. He bring up your past, boy, bring up his future.
We not confused. We
not confused, we not confused.
Your name is racist, hatred graces. All this racist traces straight to your engagement to face the nature. But on that day you face the maker. Back to day shape.
Not today, amen.
Yeah.
Neffy, I have a question. And for third generation, I have with the young people. Why do you think that the young people have turned their faces from God and turned their faces from church, not necessarily from God, but from church?
Well, my opinion, I can't really speak for the whole, but I would say from my perspective, it seems like some people from the younger generation have felt like being part of the church meant having to kind of continuously live at this standard, and for some reason, if you fall below it or you make a mistake, then you're kind of judged really harshly or ousted in a way. So I think people the younger generation just tries to avoid it altogether, if that makes sense. That's just my personal, from my lens. I can see that being something that I've heard, something that people have expressed. So it's kind of like some people are still, consider themselves still spiritual and in touch with God and still religious, but maybe they find other ways to practice that or to, pray or whatever versus going to church. So that's another thing that I've seen people do. Maybe they just decide, I'll do virtual church or I'll pray at home. So I do see on the flip side of that, people just doing it in different ways as well, so.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying, Neffy, because I've talked with a lot of the quote-unquote third generation, and they almost feel as if, well, I'm sitting here, and I'm looking at you. I have this and I have that. You're sitting in church. You don't have that. You don't have access to a nice bank account. You don't have access to a nice car, and you don't have access. It's not in things. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to put an example out here. And then the third generation is looking at this, saying, shoot, I can go to, Ruth Chris's and eat. You got to go to McDonald's, and you're sitting in church every Sunday. What's the problem here, And it's almost that the younger generation don't understand maybe why there is such really a gap there that you're sitting here and you're listening to the word and you're and that's all you're doing basically. You're listening to it. You're not putting that word inside, living by that word, But then the younger people, they're looking at this and they're seeing that, if that's the way you're doing and you're sitting in church, I don't want none of that, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do things you're not doing it on your own because you don't realize that it's still God helping you do it. But they're going to say, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do this on my own because I don't want to eat from the same spoon you're eating from. Because the same spoon you're eating from, it's not making you fat, So that's the way I see it, and it may not be the right way to look at it, but that's what I see in the younger generation now. The younger generation are go-getters. Yeah. They're go-getters. Look at yourself. Look at a lot of the people in this generation. You are go-getters. You go out and you get what it is you want, and God is still there, but it's almost like a power. There's a power that you really put your strength and your energy in to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I listen, but I'm going to do this, as opposed to someone, the older generation, still sitting there, generation after generation after generation, sitting there listening and not growing, and I think that's what the younger people are looking at. You're not growing. You're sitting under this teaching, but you're not growing. You still have the same car that you had 152 years ago. I'm driving around in a Lexus. I'm driving around in a Mercedes. But you're still clunking around in that. So it's like a difference. It's a big difference that the young people are looking at the first generation and the second generation, seeing that, if this is where you are, then I don't want any of this. I don't want to eat from that table.
I can see that. I can see that perspective completely. I understand that perspective. But I think on the flip, too, I think us as the generations, we sometimes fail to realize that, the generations before us did their best with what they were given. You guys crawled so we can walk, so we could run, so we could fly. So now we're in this generation where something may be at our fingertips a little bit, easier or more accessible, maybe, maybe a piece of information or tidbit that we need to move forward in this direction or that direction is more readily available, whether it's information, resources, or social media, whatever it may be, where you guys, you didn't have those same resources. So I think as a whole, our generation, sometimes we don't really understand. And it kind of goes full circle to what we were saying earlier, how we're in different generations, but we're in the same generation. It's like a weird catch-22. We're all here together, living this life together, but the advancement of it it's grown, but in the same token, we have different resources that you guys didn't have, and oftentimes you don't sit back like they did the best that they could do for their time. For that time in history, So I think we don't always understand that part either.
Right. Yes.
That was awesome. That was an awesome tribute, Neffy, to the previous generations, and that's one point, and that's a very good point to look at in life for us, because we never really hear that, never hear that enough, that you guys did the best you could with what you had. Our parents did. Well, some of them did. Some of them did their own thing.
Yeah.
Some of them took it to the bridge.
Now that's James Brown. Hit me. All right. Okay. Let me reel it on back now. Okay.
They did the best of what they had and what they knew and what they did know. And I think perhaps that's the same with the church. And so, and unfortunately, I'm going to apologize on behalf of the church, because we're the ones that's supposed to be open so that the youth, the young adults, and others, those that are age, can look through us and see Father. But when we close the door and by putting ourselves in front of people and being judgmental, yes, it's a right and a wrong. It's always a right and a wrong, but it's how you address it. And so I can't. If I can't have 5 husbands, you can't have 5 husbands. But if it says I can't have 5 husbands, then I'm not going to be sitting in a place of authority and scrutinizing and judging others that do the same thing. Not judging or drilling. Because sin is sin. No big sin. If I'm stealing, I'm sinning. If I'm lying, I'm sinning. The lie is no better than that or whatever. And so, having a conversation is so necessary that we be real that we're real. And if we are not who it is, and God has not really called us to shepherd his sheep or to counsel his sheep, to watch over, to do the very best by, to be his representative in the earth for, and not to use them as a whipping post, or not to use manipulation for personal gain, or fulfill our dreams of building big, beautiful buildings, and the community around you going to hell in a handbasket, or living in poverty, or young mothers not having food to feed the kids all the time, even though they get food assistance. But when a food assistance is not designed to give you enough to make it a month, it's supposed to set up the supplement. And if it were enough, then maybe, would be best. It's on jobs, and know that you work long hours and you make $7.50 an hour. And then they're fighting to move minimum wage up to $9. I don't want to pay people $9 an hour, but guess what? Neffy, when COVID came along, they were glad to pay. They were offering larger salaries so people could come back to work. But you didn't want to pay them $9 an hour. Now you're trying to pay those that made $9 an hour. You want to pay them $15 an hour to come back and work in the pandemic because you need to make money. And so even though this has been an ugly thing, it has kind of leveled the playing field, opened some eyes, knocked down some egos and a whole lot of other things. And so not bearing away from that, but the opinion on what has happened, the church had a large part, because I saw many churches in Atlanta and some other places that had the lines, and they were feeding people. They were giving opening centers up so people could be vaccinated. They were giving people clothes. They were paying tuition. They were paying rent and mortgages. They were doing all kinds of things. And so we'll see the hand of God on them as they continue to prosper. Even though the enemy tried to ridicule and destroy those ministries, destroy the leaders of those ministries, they serve the people. They serve the people. And so they didn't get televised, wasn't on the news. If you saw it, you had to see it on Facebook, I guess. Maybe someone's friend or whatever. Yeah, but to see that on the, even like what's going on down in the states that suffered from the storm from Ida. And, we wonder, well, where is the help? Where is the help?
Exactly.
Because it's happening so much, where is the help? But, and the young people are looking at that. They will, all y'all do is collect money. But where are you when we need food, when our places are flooded and we can't even go in? Do you have a loaf of bread? Or do you make a sandwich or whatever? Some people are. Ministries are. Ministries without walls, too. Ministries are. And so I just wanted to get that in. Let's get that in. Neffy, you would lead us into another conversation. Because, we'll talk all day, and you said I
well, I think a good segue, from that, you briefly had mentioned Ida and the hurricane and everything. I think a good segue is, what's going on at the Texas border with the Haitian people. So y'all know I'm down here in Texas. So although I'm not at the border, I get to experience Texas in all its glory, good, bad, and indifferent. But that's the newest reason Texas is in the news for. I really feel bad for those people who are personally believe are seeking refuge. We know that Haiti is in distress from the hurricane and from, their president recently being assassinated. And we know those people are in distress. So it's like we kind of just watched, the government kind of supports Afghanistan, refugees, as many people argue, okay, maybe they should have, I guess. That's what this country is for, right? We're supposed to welcome the refugees. So, no one's disagreeing with what they did for Afghanistan. But now we're saying, okay, you did that for those people. We need you to do that for these people black people, these Haitian people who really need the refuge. So I wanted to see what you guys felt about that whole situation.
Prophetess Isler, you go first.
Well, Nay, what you just said is fact. It's fact. And when we look at when we look at the body of Haiti, we, in a sense, to me, we're looking at God. Those people worship the Most High God. Mm-hmm. And, and it's almost like we need something now. We need you now. We have prayed. We have did this. We have did that. And we have held fast to what we believe in. But now when the axe falls, we don't have anywhere to go. Mm-hmm. So it's almost a dishonor toward them. This is my feeling. I can't speak for anyone else. I'm not trying to do that, but it's a dishonesty to those people that want to press their way forward from Haiti now into a better place. It's really a dishonesty what we are doing to them, and I say we being the United States of America. And as you said, they went in, they made sure that they fought in Afghanistan for 20 years? Yeah. And then they went back, and everybody who wants to leave, come on, we got the planes ready, we got this ready. Everybody come on, just get on. But here you have a group of people who have believed, who have stayed steadfast. You have a group of people, a group of forgotten people, and that's what it is, a group of forgotten people. Even though they're present right here, you have a group of forgotten people. So that's all I can say about that situation. Until something gets better, you got a group of forgotten people there, people that's there, but you pretend that you don't see them.
Yes, you don't.
And that's sad. That's sad.
It's sad.
So I could say a lot of other things, but they are a group of people that you've all almost taken an eraser and erased them out, but they're still there. They're still there, but they're not visible to some people's eye. So it's a hurtful situation. It's hurtful. It's hurtful when you look at it that way.
I agree. How about you, Apostle Rose?
But I see the racism at one of its finest hours. The racism at its finest hour, and when you have people who are struggling to live, because we know Haiti has been destroyed, and these people are crawling out of the rubble, and they're coming to a place where they heard that it's a place of hope, what we were supposed to be, a place of hope, an opportunity for a new life. And so what many of those people have come through swimming, through the forest and through the jungle, and however it is to make it to the United States. I couldn't make it from one state to another, to tell you the truth. If I went right down the street from Delaware, I wouldn't be able to get there. If I had to walk to Philadelphia, I would just give on up. But to have the physical stamina and the determination to try to get better so that they can live. I saw one woman with a baby, looked like the little girl, might have been a little girl, little boy, might have been 2 or 3 on a hip, coming out of the water, wading out of the water. And then when I heard about them riding the horses and whipping them with the reins and the horses up on them like they were animals, it gave me the vision of how it was when the slaves were coming over, because Haiti is really Africans because that island was invaded, and they shipped the Africans in to do the labor. The indigenous people died because they gave them sickness and disease when they came on. I don't know who it was, French, Spanish, or whoever was doing whatever they did at the time, the Portuguese or whoever. But they came in and gave the indigenous people disease, and the indigenous people were dying out. So they shipped in the strong ones again from Africa and shipped them into that land, that beautiful land, to do the labor. And so, there are consequences. Haiti has been a beautiful place. But also Haiti has such evil there as well. So you have good and you have evil, because there's a lot of voodoo, Santeria, and those other islands. One of the major leaders basically made a covenant with a pact with the devil, with the lives of his people, so that he could stay in power. And it's been a downhill spiral ever since. And this has been old enough as I've been old enough to read and kind of understand the news or whatever. Not all, but being able to decipher what actually happened. But Haiti has been hit by many storms and whatever. When you play with the enemy and you deal with that stuff, that you have to pay the piper. Well, how do you pay the piper? You pay the piper with the innocent lives of the people of that land.
Of the nation, yes.
Of that nation. But the United States of America, there was a warning, prophetic warning that I sent out this morning on Facebook. I didn't send it. I was the instrument that was used. The Holy Spirit said, send it and remind the United States, America, warning. Warning to America. You were supposed to feed those that belong to me. You were to clothe them. You were to make sure they had somewhere to stay. That's what you were supposed to do. But to do contrary to that is detrimental. It's detrimental, because we're supposed to be one nation under God, indivisible. We know that didn't apply to us when they wrote it, but they still wrote it. So guess what? They wrote it and wrote us in. Wrote us right in, because you brought us in. So we're under the same word. You've been fighting to not allow us to be under the same word, so we're under the same word. And so when you see a people and that's being treated like animals for trying to come to live, just to have, there's enough land in America with Montana, Utah. What are some of those wide open states that have all of the land and everything? Some places in Arizona it's all outdoors, but these places have wide open land where they could set up a community like they're going to do for the Afghanistanians. And so they owed it to them to bring them over, because they have to work for them during the war. But just like you could send planes and bring them in, you have people who are trying to come because their country has been destroyed from natural disasters. Natural disasters. And you have very little regard for the lives of those people. But I know one thing, the warning came out said about warning to America. But I knew, guess what? America is like I also has done some abominable things. This is one of the abominable things. Churches should be rising up. Ministries should be rising up, speaking against what they see happening to those people. They should be rising up. Those that have money or whatever should be rising up and going down there flying planes, their personal planes, or doing whatever, paying for planes to bring those people to some places. But imagine the government's probably going to hold that up and say, well, you can't take them from the border. You can't do this and you can't do that. But they're going to be turned back out. The waters on the spiritual side, Neffy, the waters around the United States of America, especially this East Coast and then the surrounding area, is being attacked by the storms that are coming from the west coast of the continent of Africa. And when it comes right across Haiti. It comes right on across, because innocent blood is still crying from the water. Innocent blood is still crying out from the water. And it happened during slavery. And we see it happening with the dark-skinned people.
It's been happening from the very beginning.
Africa. And we wonder why the storms and the tornadoes are spinning on the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, we know why. But America, if you would repent, turn from your evil ways, your evil, wicked ways, and hear from then pray to God, and He'll hear from heaven. He said He will forgive the sin, and He will heal the land. America needs to repent. And in the event we know America's not, because America is not all on the same accord. But we know those of us that are here, the intercessors, we know we better cry out and stand in the gap. Because you know that cartoon sporting here, the Who. Well, we're the little Who's hollering, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here, we're here. We're here.
That's true. But go ahead, Apostle.
So we're here, and so we don't want to suffer the consequences. I don't want to be flooded. I don't want the land devastated. And that's another place, Coco Verde, off of the east coast of Africa. If you look in that west coast of Africa, if we look at that place, that's where most of the storms are spawned. The tornadoes and the hurricanes are spawned. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? And they're directed right toward those coasts that promoted the travel of the people into slavery into this country. Those hurricanes and tornadoes, those hurricanes, tropical storms, follow that path. America better repent.
But we look at America, quote unquote, America is really destroying themselves. We have so much turmoil going on within the United States. How in the world can they reach out to bring anybody else in this mess that we've created for ourselves? It's a time over here. It's a time. And you know, for someone leaving Haiti or Afghanistan or wherever you're coming from to want to come here to America, it's got to be great over where they're leaving from. It has to be tumultuous from where they're leaving, because America is just eating itself alive. They're eating itself alive.
Right. They don't know. They don't have access to accurate, up-to-date information. That's as we learned in Introduction to Business. Access to up-to-date information is necessary for survival. They don't have that.
Yes.
They don't have that.
And that thing is so deep, how different immigrants are treated of it's so deep and really systematic, just like people have been arguing for decades that it's these systematic things in place. Because when you think of black and brown immigrants, we know them as immigrants. But if they're immigrants of any other skin color or ethnicity, they don't even call them immigrants. I think the term for them is like expats or something. I'm like, so now they've created a new category for immigrants that are not black and brown. So only black and brown people are immigrants, but everybody else is an expat.
Okay.
Indeed. I need to research that. Yes, indeed. Wow.
Interesting. We know it to be true. And so they changed the term yet again. They've changed the terminology yet again. Thank you, Nat.
That's indeed.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. If I may share this, Neffy, I know our time is almost up. Share this. There is an active volcano going on. Where is that? Is that in the continent of Africa as well? where is it? It's active volcano, and the lava is flowing. And so they started posting articles where once the lava flows out of this mountain, that thing is going to collapse or going to impose on itself. And the aftermath of that is a tsunami, and that tsunami will be so great that it will hit the East Coast. That it will hit the East Coast. The magnitude of the impact of that mountain imploding once the lava has expelled itself will create a tsunami, and the tsunami will reach the East Coast and affect most of the East Coast.
My goodness.
And tremendously. All right, but they're trying to dispel that and say, oh, that's a false statement. That's not going to happen, and this is why it's not going to happen. But all I'm going to say is Pompeii, and which we talked about on, I guess about 3 months ago, Neffy, on one of the Eastgate Live sessions. We talked about Pompeii, and we know Pompeii had a volcano. The volcano with the volcano and the ash didn't burn up. Then when it went into the sea, it created a chain reaction. And after the volcano and the burning, then there came a tsunami. There came a tsunami. And so what someone's saying is not that far off, and so we need to be watchful. So I'm just putting it there so we'll be watchful and not be duped by those that say, oh, no, that's not going to happen. Just like when Noah was building the ark and they said, oh, no, it's not raining. Look at the sky.
It's not going to rain.
It's no sign of rain.
History does repeat itself.
Yeah, we don't learn the lesson. If we don't learn the lesson, and apparently we're not. I learned the lesson. I see. I'm not gonna put myself in there with them. I know that's right. Right. We live in Goshen, Neffy. We live in Goshen, Neffy. The land of plenty, land of provision. Set aside from the chaos or whatever. Even though we live in the land, we're in the world, but we're not of the world. So we live in Goshen. We're not of the world. That's why we see and think different, so that we can declare and decree that over ourselves. We live in God's Goshen for us, that He's prepared for us. In the midst of all the chaos and all the hell going on around us, we live in Goshen.
Yes.
And so that's where we can stay until He says otherwise. And protect
right.
But we can do we can do. But just keep an eye. Watch the weather. Watch the actions of that volcano, and see, and from the same region the volcano is acting up, so are those storms spawning from the same part of the world.
Oh, wow.
And I've never seen so many storms form out there in the waters. They a couple of weeks ago, I think there were, I looked at it, there were 8 storms that had formed themselves. And I looked at that and I said, I've never seen that before. Never. So be watchful. Be watchful.
Be watchful.
Yes.
There are 2 or 3 that are in trying to rev themselves up, but we're revving them right back down. That's what we're declaring in the decree that no weapons that have been formed against this East Coast is going to prosper. That is formed against Texas. You in Dallas, we know some stuff is going to happen because everybody is not covered. Everybody is not living in Goshen. They don't know to say it, but we're putting the word out here for every listener that we declare and decree that you live in Goshen and prepared to. And so, Neffy, we thank you so much for allowing us to come on and vent. And vent. Everybody vent.
Wait a minute. Old head.
Girl,
talking about her. And you can bleep this little part out if you want. BB's got an oldie, honey. No.
I know that's right.
I'm feeling mighty good. I'm feeling mighty fine.
It's a time, Neffy. It's a time. No, Neffy, let's say no to her together. No, you're not appearing on the stage with Neffy. No, you're not. We don't care how much you practice. You will not. Once this pandemic is over, you will
don't
not.
leave that part out. Don't leave that part out because the world needs to know. They need to know that you have an art here.
Yes, I know you will get it done, BB.
Oh, it's been truly an honor this morning to share the airwaves with my niece.
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
You know, this is, it's just memorable. I will never forget this day. Honestly, never. Yeah.
It is absolutely special. I've had a great time talking to you two. It's always a pleasure talking to you two. I love you so dearly. But, you know, also just to talk candidly about stuff. We don't get to do this a lot. So this is fun for me, too. You know, we always call and check in. How you doing? How's the family? But just to chit-chat and talk about some real stuff. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun for me. So thank you guys for your input always and your knowledge and that knowledge that you bring to the table as well.
Thank you.
So, Neffy, I guess we'll end with what we say. Blessings.
Blessings and peace. Love you guys so much.
Blessings and peace.
Blessings and peace.
Y'all see what I'm talking about? Come on, Kiara Shear, come help us. Everybody clap your hands. Kiara Shear. Make some noise. You go.
What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you gonna do when you need a little more grace. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you gonna do when you need a little more grace. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hang on in there. What you gonna do when your back's against the wall? How you gonna respond when it seems the hope is lost? Tell me what you gonna do when you need a little more grace. How you gonna respond when they try to test your faith? Hang on, in there. Hang on.
and celebrate more. Celebrate, celebrate more. Ay. Celebrate, celebrate more. Ay. Celebrate, celebrate more. Ay. Celebrate, celebrate more. Ay. Yeah. Top in the morning till you from the other side. And yeah. I've been to hell and back, I could've swore I died. And yeah. Dodging depression, looking for a message. Facing my fears and hoping for a blessing. Telling my demons they can get the step. And I was lost, no, I was hiding. I was so divided. Chasing after wind, I couldn't hold to find it. Trying to get bigger bags, yeah. Trying to get what they had, yeah. Should've been holding back, yeah. Didn't know what I had. So let's celebrate, yeah, let's celebrate, yeah, yeah. We gon' levitate, there'll be better days, yeah, yeah. Let it resonate, throw the stress away, yeah, yeah. Another day, come on baby, let's wake up and celebrate, come on. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. We gotta celebrate, cause like the year's over. We gonna do it good, my dog a year sober. I give online, don't judge me when I pass the church plate. All I want is the cake for my birthday, yeah. Closing our houses and opening businesses. We went to college and finished it. Did a whole lot with a little bit, yeah. If we take an L, then we elevate. Don't let your food get cold, looking at somebody else. So let's celebrate, yeah, let's celebrate, yeah, yeah. We gon' levitate, there'll be better days, yeah, yeah. Let it resonate, throw the stress away, yeah, yeah. It's another day, come on baby, let's wake up and celebrate, come on. Tell me what it's all for. When you get what you want and you still want more. In the end you know that life's the reward. So baby, worry less and celebrate more. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more, ayy. Celebrate, celebrate more.